This series looks like a lot with the series against the Nets. After the first three games, the score is exactly the same. How much do you think that this can motivate you so you can eventually get where you want to go in these finals?
We talked about it some after game two. That just I do believe there's reference points. There's things that you can learn throughout the season. There are things that you got to draw on. It doesn't guarantee or fix or really do more than just give you that reference point. And the players have talked about it. We've talked about it. There's things from series to series, regardless of how they've gone, where you can draw on them. And whether it's offensive concepts, defensive concepts, you're just building habits. You're building reference points that you can draw on that build confidence and give you opportunities to go out and compete.
Over here in the second row.
Hey, Coach. I don't know if you saw after the game, but Monty took issue with, I think he said one guy, but Giannis taking more free throws than your entire team. So two parts. One, curious your reaction to that. And now both of you, and I know yours was different after game one, you even joked about being baited into it, being asked about the rest, but you guys have both brought up free throw numbers after games. I'm curious, is there any intent behind doing that in a press conference? Have you seen any benefit to that in your career?
It's like the age-old, ritual of the playoffs, and I guess historically or experience-wise, I don't know that it has any impact, and probably could argue I've seen it go both ways. And some organizations, some players, some teams, actually feel like they're penalized for doing it. And at the end of the day, I actually think the referees just call the game. They call the game, and coaches go and talk about the game, and we'll do the same thing after tomorrow night's game. And we have the best referees in the league, and we're always still frustrated with them, and they're still the best in the world. It's really, it seems like it's always the same, and I don't think it has any impact on the game.
Dwayne on the right.
Yeah, Coach, when you look back at the film, what are a couple of things you felt like stood out that maybe not beyond Giannis's numbers, that maybe underneath the surface, but you saw, okay, this was a big factor as to why we won the game?
I think just, defensively, the connectivity with the group was where it trending in the direction we needed to be. Just really communicating, covering for each other. All those things that you need to do to be good defensively, the connection. Really, we kind of use the same word offensively, the connection offensively, the way the guys play together, move together, just playing basketball. I think, it's a sport that takes everybody participating, and just felt like we had all five guys more connected on both ends of the court, and we got to just get better even going forward in that sense.
Jeff in the middle.
Mike, you've touched on this a little bit, maybe in this series and the last series, but it's so difficult for a second rounder to end up as an all-star. What did you see from Chris Middleton when you weren't coaching him, when you were coaching Atlanta, and then, for him to get to the point where he's an all-star, what have you seen here?
Yeah, I think seeing him, as an opponent from a distance, his shooting really stood out. Just a very, very gifted shooter and with great size, ability to kind of shoot and make shots, tough shots stood out. I think the thing that's really maybe since being around him every day, just his work ethic, his professionalism, but as far as a player, the ability to be a playmaker and grow as a passer, I think that that's been a huge part of our growth, and maybe he did it more before. Just, sometimes you don't see it and pick up on it like you do when you're around everybody someday. But the playmaking, I think he's an underrated defender. His size, again, just what he does at 6'8". He's a really skilled, gifted, smart basketball player. His IQ, I talk a lot about his IQ. It's off the charts, and he sees and reads and understands things very quickly and at a very, very high level.
I don't know if this is something you consider, that you're essentially your two best players. One is a second rounder and one is just at the end of the lottery draft pick. That doesn't happen very often. Do you consider the good fortune that takes?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of good fortune there, for both, Chris and Giannis to end up here and now being together for 7, 8 years. I think it's that they've been teammates and kind of building this together and trying to get to this point. And I think it speaks to being able to build, championship level teams different ways. There's not just one way to make it to the NBA Finals. And, John Horst and our ownership and Giannis and Chris, the stick-to-itiveness, to belief, to build around those two guys, along with a lot of good fortune. It's always a little bit of both.
Jim in the second row.
Hey, Mike. Brooke was saying the other day that in terms of watching Giannis or sort of seeing what he's doing, and Brooke, meaning like he's trying to appreciate it and sort of understand. I guess from your chair, is it hard to do? I don't know if it's called reflect, but when you're in the moment and it's always about getting better, moving forward, to kind of take in the air that he just sort of entered in this finals and the injury and all that stuff. Have you allowed yourself that at all, or is that an August sitting at home thing, or 10 years down the line thing?
No, I mean, I think wrapped in the question, it's the most interesting part, is I think the coaching staff, actually we want more, so I think it's like not only, it's probably wrong or not to not appreciate what he does. And we do appreciate it. I don't want to, it's very, very special, but in the heat of the moment, we're constantly just, I think pushing Giannis that he can give us even more, and pushing the group that they can do even better and give us more. And it's, luckily I think Giannis likes being pushed. He likes being coached. And so that's more the mindset than, but I think every day we come to the facility, Giannis is appreciative of what's there. Coaches were appreciative to have such a good team. And so there's a awakening every day where you're appreciative, and then you kind of get in the gym and you push and you want more. So I don't reflect on how great he is probably enough or really very often.
Brian in the back.
Hey, Mike, I want to ask you from your years with Coach Popovich. I remember him talking many, many times about that team having corporate knowledge. The guys were together and just kind of knew how to do things. Now he's got the Olympic team and doesn't have that. Is that something that's a difficult adjustment for any coach, or do you expect kind of 2 years or 2 minutes, whatever, you'll figure it all out?
No, I mean, it takes a lot of time to figure things out. There's no replacement for, reps and experiences and being defended different ways and having to, navigate different things defensively. And, it's a little bit like Chris and Giannis. They've been together for so long that you can just see and feel some of the things they do that are very just instinctual, very just kind of without thinking about it. And I think as a team, we're a long ways away from that, but there's parts of our group that has that corporate knowledge. And I think we're fortunate to have as, many, particularly Chris and Giannis and Brooke being together for the last 3 years, and now Drew mixing in and Tuck mixing in, and Pat, somebody off the bench that has a lot of corporate knowledge, is really helpful. So no, you can't get that in 2 minutes or 2 games or, a couple practices. It's real, and it takes real time.
Tim in the front.
In game 2, Mike, Phoenix had 17 attempts on corner threes. In game 3, I think they only had 3. What did you guys tweak there, and how sustainable do you think that is to keep them limited there going forward?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's something that if we can, try and make everybody uncomfortable, try and, make all the shots contested and difficult, but certainly the three-point line hurt us, particularly game 2, Bridges and Crowder and Cam Johnson. So it's a great challenge guarding Paul and Booker. They tend to attract extra attention, draw an extra body, and they're willing passers. So the better we can do on Paul and Booker, hopefully the better we can do reducing particularly corner threes are real. I think that's a hot spot for any offense, and defensively, if you can limit them, it's real helpful.
Dave here front.
Bud, you just mentioned the better job you could do on Paul and Booker. Booker, had his worst game of the series offensively after pretty strong games in games 1 and 2. Anything that you guys implemented specifically that you felt like worked and helped stop him from scoring like he did early on in the series?
No, I think, we felt like we got a little bit better from game 1 to game 2, and hopefully we did the same thing going from game 2 to game 3. And, and he's a great player, but he's human, but I think we're expecting, we're going to have to be even better on him. But being able to throw different people on him, Tuck is an individual defender, and then Drew's abilities, and sometimes Chris and Giannis, and Brooke has his own way of impacting things, and but I wouldn't say there was one specific thing or anything we did different. Obviously, there's subtle little things that we're trying to do, but we just got to be prepared for a really good Devin Booker going into the game 4.
Steve on the right, last question in here.
Mike, as the legend of Bobby Portis Jr. has grown, did you, when he first got here, have any conversations with him about what level of being amped up is good, and how much, maybe, how far to go without going too far?
Not when he first got here. I didn't know what the legend of Bobby Portis Jr. would be. But certainly throughout the season, there's been, some moments where trying to find that balance of whether it being keeping your focus, going to the next play, being prepared, for a defensive possession, or, just keeping your mind, in a good kind of mental space and focus. But at the same time, having that great energy. He brings great energy to our team, to our arena. And he's let me know that he does that. And so, it's been kind of a fun journey with him to have those conversations. Sometimes it's in the heat of the moment, and sometimes it's on, an off day or between games. But his passion is so real. I think the way his teammates respond to him and appreciate him and love him, it's all real. And so I probably should just, step aside.
Given that emotional connection he has, particularly with fans in this building, have you or would you go to him ever just for that sort of energy burst, even if it's not a basketball X and O type of situation that needed him?
I think at the end of the day, we need to play good basketball, and Bobby plays good basketball. I think the crowd responds to him playing good basketball. I think it always starts with that. He's a really good player. He does a lot of things defensively, offensively, and certainly they love his personality, they love his passion. But at this time, in this moment, you got to play, you got to deliver, and he does that. So it's luckily it's a win-win.